Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today I'm going to be telling you guys my conversion story. It has been much requested since I took my other one down in August, and I even promised a sister that I would have it up by the end of Ramadan, and it's November, so obviously I failed on that mission and I broke my promise. I'm sorry. um, so my conversion story, I did have a video up at the beginning, but things have changed since then, and I took it down when those circumstances did change. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so it all started in August of 2008, and I was visiting my father in Florida. I was up at a university in Indiana. It was I got done with my first year, so I was 18, 19. I was about to turn 19, so I was still 18. And I was down here, and I had this like strange pull, like feeling, like a really strange gut feeling that I should move down here because I had a job, and that's when the economy started to tank, was right about that time. And yeah, wow, that's been a long time our economy's been tanked. But yeah, so that was right when the economy started to tank and people couldn't get jobs, and I found a job, and I mean, it was just like a food service job, but even those weren't available at the time. So I was like, the fact that I have a job ready, I don't like my own university. I just, I prefer, I just want to move to Florida. I just spontaneously decided to move to Florida. So that's what I did is I moved to Florida. I transferred to a university down here. So after I moved down to Florida, I was working with two Muslims who were the first Muslims I've ever met in my whole life, because in Indiana we didn't have Muslims. And so I was like really curious about like what they were saying and what they were doing, and like it was really weird to me because I didn't know anything about Islam. So I remember looking up on Wikipedia, and I was like, this really is kind of similar to what I believe, except the whole Jesus thing. And I was like kind of curious and intrigued and had this like pull at my heart that I should keep looking, and now I feel like that was my sign from Allah, like telling me that this is the right path. But at the time I was just like, I really feel like I should keep researching into this. So I bought a Quran, and I remember reading it like late at night. At the time I was still staying with my father because he let me stay there for a couple months, and I would go into upstairs into my bedroom and like lock the door and like read my Quran. And I was just like scared that I was gonna get caught, because it was like it's a weird thing because I mean it's just an unknown thing to my family. None of us knew anything about Islam, and they weren't really approving of it either. So at that time, I needed somewhere to live. So my coworker, who was a guy, needed someone to live in, because he had a two-bedroom and he needed someone to live in the second bedroom because he couldn't afford the rent, and I needed somewhere to live. So at the time I was still a Christian. It was no big deal. He had a fiance, his family was here, no big deal. I was like, okay, I'll move in. And then that's when I really just got influenced by like him and his family, that they were just so nice to me and so good to me, and like his mother was like so good to me, and she just treated me like her own kid from the start. And I was like, you know what? I really feel like I should just be a Muslim. I didn't know much about Islam. I feel like there's two ways people convert. They spend a couple years studying it and then they convert, or you can also, I know there's people who, like me, just converted before they knew anything because they felt in their heart that's what the right thing was, and then spend the next couple years learning. And that's what I did. It was like a month after I moved in with them. I was just like, you know what? I want to be Muslim. I knew the very, very basics of it, and I was like, I'm gonna be Muslim. So I took my Shahada with my roommate and his mother, and that was in August of 2008. So after I took my Shahada, the following year was a very rough time for me because there wasn't any outreach to me because, I don't know, I was too scared to go to the mosque, and I didn't know any of the Muslims on campus because I thought they were all Spanish people. There was no hijabis on campus. Like, most of the people I know are, they don't cover their hair, so I didn't know any Muslims on campus, so I just tried to learn a lot on my own, and it took a very long time. And I mean, I'm grateful because I took it slow, and I know it feels comfortable to me. If I would have rushed anything, it would have been very strange and awkward and uncomfortable for me, and maybe I would later regret something. But the way it is now, I took things very slow. Like, I remember last December which is almost a year ago, that is when I started wearing full long sleeves, you know. When I first converted, I was like, I'm never gonna wear full long sleeves, you know, they're just arms, you know, like who cares about like the arm? It's not gonna turn a guy on. But the thing is in Islam you can't necessarily base the right thing to do based on your culture. I know, and I thought it would be a long time before I started wearing the hijab. I was like, you know, I know, inshallah, I want to do it in the future, maybe when I move to graduate school, but I can't do it here because I'm too scared. And then that's when I started making videos, like in May, and I was wearing the hijab in the videos, and I was like enjoying watching all the hijab tutorials, and I was like, you know what, I really, you know, that was, hijab tutorials wasn't the reason I started wearing it, but it started getting me more comfortable with the idea. And in June, that's when I started wearing, there's a video, I'm pretty sure I've talked about it before, there's a video I watched where it's called Jane wears her hijab for the first day or something, where she wears it just like tied back, you know, just like wrapped in the back but not covering the chest, and that is how I started wearing it in June. And then a month later, I started wearing it the full way because that whole issue of just wearing it fully the first time, that is what was scaring me. But making that transition, because everything I do, everything I have done in Islam has been very slow, small baby steps, which is okay, you know? You don't have to be perfect right away. And yeah, so that is when I started wearing the hijab in June. So basically, to summarize, there really isn't one thing that made me convert. People always ask me, what made you convert? And it's not a what. It's really strange for me to explain this to people. Maybe other converts will understand, but I think I'm getting sick. Anyway, it's just a very, very strong gut feeling I had, and from previous experience, I know when I follow my gut feeling, it's always right. You know, I've had many instances where I just follow my gut feeling and it's been good for me. And I was like, I just have such a strong feeling that this is what I should do. And you know, I see it now, obviously, as Allah's call to Islam for me. And at the time, I obviously didn't know that, but you know, it's not just one thing, you know, because when I converted, I was still so new and so unsure about everything, but the one thing I was sure about is that I wanted to be a Muslim. I don't even know when the first time I really felt like a Muslim. I would say it was about a year after I converted, because yeah, I converted, but it was just such a slow process for me that I don't really feel that day that I converted, I didn't feel like a Muslim. That first Christmas that I missed was very hard for me, and it really dropped my iman low. And I think that's one thing we really need to reach out for, is help the new Muslims cope through that Christmas time. That was hard for me, but my iman has gone up and down, you know, like most Muslims, you know, especially right after Ramadan. I feel like it drops a lot for me because I put too much pressure on myself during Ramadan to be like really perfect, because I'm afraid other people are going to be critical of me because I shouldn't be fasting because of so many health problems, but I feel guilty, so I do fast. And I feel like it puts a lot of stress and tension on me, and then my iman drops. Ooh. Then my iman drops right after, and I always feel bad about it, but you know, alhamdulillah, I get better. So that's my conversion story. Hope you guys enjoy it. It's nothing really exciting, you know. It's not just like one thing that, boom, I'm a Muslim. It's a slow progress, but I hope you enjoyed my story. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum.